Hello and welcome back to Hudson Auto Films. You join me on a very grey English day and well, you guessed it, today we are back building the Nova. Now, today's episode is a very special one indeed. The goal is to fully rebuild our Alfa Romeo turbocharged race engine. Sounds simple enough-ish, but we're doing it in a dusty old barn with no electricity, no water supply and quite a few question marks over a lot of the parts involved. So it's going to be an interesting episode for sure. But as always, I remain blindly optimistic, but maybe we'll be having a slightly different conversation at the end of this episode. But anyway, that's for later. Let's get to it. Today's video is brought to you by Squarespace. So here she is, our partially built Turbo Alpha engine. In the last engine session, we took the mountain apart from 3 different Alpha engines and tried to make one. And well, this is where we ended up. It's a mixture of the Alpha racing engine and the original 1.5 engine, and it seemed like a pretty good way forward. But of course, there are still a lot of unknown quantities. This was built very rough and dirty just so we could get an idea of what parts we had, what would work with what, and well, this is where we got to. But lots of things still could take us in a different direction. But we will get to that. So after we measured the valve clearances, it was time to strip this thing back down. Now with the engine yet again back to the block, it was time to reintroduce a trick we did last time, polishing the crank with an old timing belt and some sandpaper. Obviously we had done a pass on this before to assess if there was any damage on the crank, but now we need to do the proper job. We need to get this thing gleaming and ready for its final installation. Oh, I'll do that. Right, we were lubed up and ready to go. The sandpaper was on, so let's polish this crank.
Yeah? Look at that. The old ring piece. My parents definitely restricted.
Here we go, the moment of truth. Will she be nice and shiny?
Rig. Just have a look at it, yeah. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, that is shiny as heck. Oh, yeah. Can't feel a thing.
Mission success. One down, several more to go. Now half the journals were very nicely polished and they'd come up really well, but that was easy because we could do that rotation whilst the crank was in the block, but for the other ones we didn't have that access, so we needed to figure out another way. We tried many methods, all in the realms of sketchy. And well, it's all part of the fun of budget rebuilds. You've just got to make do with what you've got and try and figure it out. But eventually we found our method. And after a bit of patience, it was looking pretty damn good. Now the crank was nicely polished, the last thing to do was clean out the oil journals. There was probably 30 plus years of oil build-up, debris and gunk, so this was an essential. that is a wrap on the crank. Now, let's address the block. After a quick wipe down, we are ready to hone. Obviously in the dry build, we gave this a very light hone in each cylinder, mainly just to see if there was any damage to the bores. But now we are going for the real thing, and the goal is to get a nice 45-degree crosshatch pattern. And there we have it. It might be quite hard to see on camera, but we have a really nice uniform 45-degree cross-hatching throughout each of our cylinders. So we're about ready to go.
Peekaboo.
Before we go any further, I'd like to take a few seconds out to talk about today's sponsor who made this episode possible. Today's episode is brought to you by the good people at Squarespace. Personally, I'm a big advocate for self-employment, pursuing business ideas, getting yourself out there, and in today's market, Squarespace is an essential tool to do just that. In today's online landscape, SEO and discoverability of your website is a make or break on whether your business or venture is going to be successful or just not seen by anybody. And if you don't have prior knowledge on this niche area, then you're in for a little bit of trouble. But this is where Squarespace can help you out. You can get your website discovered quickly with Squarespace's integrated SEO tools. Every website is optimized to be indexed with meta descriptions, a sitemap, and much more. This basically means your website is going to show up a lot more in search engines and make it much easier for your ideal customers to connect with you and help push your business. And if that wasn't enough, Squarespace also offer a massive library of professionally designed, award-winning templates, so in just a few clicks, you can build your own website and get your business launched. No matter what your venture is or what stage you're at, Squarespace is there for you and it will grow with you. So head on over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch your website, go to squarespace.com/Hudson for 10% off your website domain. So what are you waiting for? Squarespace is ready when you are, and thank you to them for making this video possible. Next up, it's time to give the block one final cleanup before we put the bearings in. It's already pretty clean, but we want to make sure that it is completely debris free, and this block has been sitting around for a long time, so little bits of corrosion could have built up, so it's just good to have that final little cleanup. And well, this is exactly why we do it. Upon cleaning the journals again, we found a little critter that could have caused some serious damage.
Look at that piece there, just pulled out. That would ruin your day.
Yeah.
Oh, feel it. It's a stone. Feels like a piece of stone.
Bloody hell. Yeah.
Yeah, that does not want to go through your block.
If that bad boy had been left in and given the opportunity to spin around, well, we could have been back to square one. Yeah. And after a lot more meticulous scrubbing and cleaning, we had a lovely, clean, shiny block, honed and ready to go. Which means next up on the cards, we can install fresh bearings. So let's get those fitted, then we can crack on with the race piston assembly. Old versus new. So a little bit of piston meltage. As you can see, one of our race pistons had got extremely hot. It had sort of melted and deformed a bit. Now, if this had been left as is, when it would run through the bore, it would have caused scratches and possibly much worse. That's probably where some of the damage that we managed to get out came from in the first place. So we have to take it down a little bit. And after a light bit of sanding, it was nice and smooth and ready to go. And now with nice fresh bearings and a clean piston, we could get the whole assembly together.
Beautiful. Oh, you shouldn't use a steel wire brush, you should use a brass one. You'll be contaminating the surface with stainless steel wire. In this ring. Just tease it open, slide it over, There is a device to do this called a piston ring fitting tool, but why bother when you've got fingers? And there it is.
Ah, she is.
And it didn't break. The idea is don't snap them. You're gonna have thick skin on your thumbs as well. There it is, adjusted nicely.
Nice. And after cleaning the block for the 100th time and assembling the pistons, we were about ready to properly put the crank in and get this whole assembly together. Everything was looking really, really promising. There's been moments when I've walked into the shed and seen the mountain of engine parts in all sorts of states and been a little bit, not disheartened, but concerned probably. But now seeing everything cleaned up, well, this was getting exciting. So here we go. Final assembly time begins. I said final assembly, and that is what we're doing, but there is one additional step, and that is figuring out our bearing clearances. The way we're doing that is using Plastigauge, which is like this plasticine stuff you put on the crank, you then torque everything down, it then squidges out, you measure the squidge, and that will tell you whether your bearing clearances are in spec or not. Quite bizarre, I know, but that's how you do it. So after getting our little bits of plasticine fitted, it was time to put the end caps on and get everything torqued down to spec. And now everything was nicely torqued to spec, it was time to undo it all.
Oh, the washrooms are there.
So we've got this one the biggest, well, the front of the engine is 0.063, 0.076, 0.063, 0.076, 0.050, and another one, and that's, yeah. So after measuring the widest point, we were in spec, which was good. This wasn't a task I'd done before, and it was quite peculiar. You sort of think about engines and you don't think about putting plasticine in it and squishing it down, and I don't know. How else would you do it, I suppose? But anyway, it worked and we were all good. So after cleaning up the plasticine gunk, it was time to fit everything back yet again and torque it all up. Oh my gosh, that fits beautifully.
Right. Well, really?
Now this was a big moment. Obviously we had this partially built before, but not torqued down, not with new bearings, not all clean. So yeah, we were moving in the right direction. This was exciting. We were on the way to having an engine. Next up was to put the pistons in, but before I did that, I wanted to clean up and make sure the surface where the head gasket would sit was nice and level. Now, of course, this might introduce some dust and dirt, so whilst everything was accessible and before the pistons were in, I wanted to do that so I could then clean the dirt out, if that makes sense, because you don't want to do that once the pistons are in and you've got fine metal shavings inside the bores and crunchiness and all that nastiness. I should have done this earlier, but it's fine. Now everything was nice and smooth and level. There was actually some low spots, so this was a job worth doing. But anyway, now we can move on to putting the pistons in. This blue device squeezes the piston rings, allowing you to insert the whole piston into the bore. And after some careful tapping, we were in.
Hey. Yep, sit on there. That's the number 4 I can see there. Is that right? Yes. Number 4 here, those are aligned. Those race bolts.
Wee.
Oh, sexy. ERP maybe, who knows?
So, 1 piston down, 3 to go.
Put any pressure there. Get the old handle.
Yeah.
Good. So tap in. She's on. That's it.
Hey. Right, now we had the pistons in, they weren't torqued down, it was time to use the plastic gauge yet again.
Beautiful.
We'll fly through this bit as I'm sure you understand the principle by now, but essentially we're going to torque everything down and get our clearances. Oh, hello, it's me again. Just a very quick one to say, if you haven't already subscribed, please do consider it. The channel stats say only about 20% of you who watch the videos are actually subscribed. So I'd be really grateful if you haven't, if you could click that subscribe button, it would mean a lot. Subscribers make building cars like this in a random field in the middle of nowhere, England, possible. So if you want to see more of that, please do consider it.
Oh yeah. Ooh, it's squished. So it's between, that's the limit, and that's the limit, and we are. Not that. Yes. Not that. So it's right in the middle.
Right in the middle?
50.50 mil.
0.50 mil.
Pretty good. 0.050, of course.
583850. Excellent.
That's good.
Good news. Now I've got to get this shit off.
Yeah, scrape it off there. The thumbnail of justice.
Yeah. So the plastic gauge tells us yet again that we are in specs, which is good. So time to clean it all off, lube up, torque everything down, and then we are done with this portion of the assembly. Another big moment, we had the turning assembly done, it was torqued up. Wow, things are really moving. Next up, it was time to turn our attention to the heads. Obviously, we had chosen to use the 1.5 heads, but they were very dirty and crusty and we had never properly inspected them. So the first thing to do is completely strip them down and see the internal condition.
You are using the smallest wrench in the world.
I am. I like to make it harder.
Good there. Go back at that with your quarter drive now.
Nice. Whoa. Apply strip next. So, as you can tell from this strip down and all of the debris, it is a very, very crusty head. But how would these valves look? A lot of carbon, very crusty, so to get a proper idea we need to clean them up. We really don't want to end up with something that is all pitted and nasty.
A bit cleaner. Still cruddy around the edges.
So that looks a lot better. Certainly not brand new, but there was nothing that would stand in the way of us using it again. There was no pitting, there wasn't a lip, nothing like that. So the next thing to do was lap the valve in, which is basically where you put this abrasive gunk, gel, whatever you want to call it, and bed it in with the head. It makes both the surfaces smooth uniquely with each other, so it creates a good seal. Now, a lot of people do this by hand, but we are doing this using a drill, which, again, if you're careful, you will be fine.
The valve guide.
I promise.
If it goes in the valve guide, it'll ruin it. So change the speed to slow.
After hitting it with the coarser gunk, it was looking pretty good. There was a nice uniform grey colour going around the outside, which is what we're looking for. So next up is to use the finer gunk to get a more refined surface.
It's sort of like a sandpaper-esque stuff.
Yeah, sandpaper and grease.
Oh.
You can hear it cutting. Same procedure. Looking dark.
Yeah.
So it's done some cutting.
And look at that. That is looking pretty damn good. And if we take a look at the head as well, you can see that is also very nice and uniform and smooth. There's no pitting, there's no gouges, so that one is ready to go. We then flew through the rest of them. Even though they were all disgusting when we pulled them out, everything was cleaning up very, very well, and things were looking good. But that was until we found this.
This inlet valve, the seat is absolutely corroded away. You can see in there all that rust on the aluminium. That's where we've had a problem. Water's been sitting in there, the valve and the seat corroded away, and what we've got now is a lot of missing seat material. So that can't lap in. We don't have valve cutters.
So after all of that, we cannot use the 1.5 heads. But luckily, we've got lots of other options. So let's dive in.
These race heads have got a little bit of chamber, so the compression ratio will be slightly lower. But we'll work that out. Ooh, shiny. It's got some red bits. Look nice. I reckon those are race valve springs. Oh, look at this. Inside, we've got adjustable tappets. Never seen that before. I thought the valves actually were poking out between the cams, but wow, adjustable tappets. Adjustable followers. With a big groove in it. That is interesting. The more we look at this race engine, the more we realise it definitely is something special. Charlie would be here. He's gone to let his mum in because his mum locked herself out. So I've been left holding the fort. A bad move by Charlie. We still don't know what these cams do though, what the profile is and how we should time them up. But it's all looking interesting in the camshaft. So you can get an Allen key through there. Oh, cock. You can see there's a bit of wear on that. It's a little bit scratchy. Nice shape on that valve. It's a wasted stem slightly. Looks like high-spec material. It's been put in here for the seats. 3-angle valve seat-ish. Single angle on the exhaust. It looks like it's recessed a little bit.
So the race heads were very interesting and high spec, but could we marry them with our 1.5 cams? Now, that would be the question in hand, because we don't want to run the race cams.
Got a little bit of clearance between, it's about half a finger.
Yeah, half finger. Maybe a finger and a bit.
Finger of fudge.
Yeah.
I don't think we can shim that out really.
No, shims won't sort that.
No. So we can't run these valves with these cams and followers.
Yeah.
Because there's too much clearance.
Yeah.
That would be a noisy tappet.
That would be very...
I know they say a noisy tappet is a happy tappet, but that's taking the P.
Yeah, that is very, well...
Very wide. So, we can't run these followers with that cam either, because there's a small problem.
They're adjustable.
Pokey out bit, that'd probably whack on there, which is why someone designed this cam with 2 lobes and a hole in the middle to get an Allen key in there to adjust these.
So we've got to basically run with the whole racing setup if we're going to use them.
The cylinder heads, yeah.
Well, look at that. Nice and shiny.
Why do these dowel pins always stick like...
Well, everything's getting a little bit complicated. I suppose this is part of the process of trying to build one engine out of 3 engines and chucking in a very unique race engine into the mix. So let's have a little chat and figure out a plan. Right, so a bit of faffing. So we were lapping the valves of the standard heads, and then Steve uncovered some pretty, well...
Nasty.
It's hard to show on camera, but it's a deep gouge.
It's basically corrosion that's taken out the valve seat, and it won't ever lap in, and even cutting it, it's probably too deep to cut that, so it's a valve seat replacement probably.
So we did think, okay, well, let's make some sort of hybrid between the race heads and then the standard, what are they called again? So we thought we'd use the race heads and then use the standard cam carrier, but that hasn't been possible because everything is a different length, obviously, but there is no combination where it's going to work.
Everything is different. The valve sizes, the stem diameters, the valve lengths, the number of collets, the grooves in the collets, the springs, the seats, valve head diameters, everything is different. Nothing will fit from one head to the other. And also looking at the cam carriers, these ones with the off the race heads, with the adjustables, they're all graunched.
Yeah, because that would have been a solution. Okay, let's just use the whole race setup, but they are completely they're incredibly rough to the touch.
It looks like someone's attacked them with an angle grinder.
Yeah.
Which means
it wasn't us.
Not this time, no.
No, it usually is.
So we've got heads that are not interchangeable. As much as these race heads are lovely, they need these cam carriers with these cams and these followers to actually make them work, or else you've got a valve clearance same diameter as this screwdriver, which would be a little bit loud. But what we do have,
this is the perk of having so many engines.
Is even more heads. Now these are the 1.7 hydraulic tappet heads, which may share some common parts with the race engine and with the standard engine.
Making a Frankenstein of it all.
Another Frankenstein.
Yes. So let's strip this one down.
Let's have a look at it. Uh-oh, things dropping out. Yeah, things dropping out. Another one. Where did that come from?
There's no more in there. Hey, look, that's quite clean.
Yeah.
Shame about those then.
Where did they come from?
So now we're in a bit of a situation. We can't use the whole race heads because the followers are a mess, and none of the race parts or the 1.7 parts communicate with each other, so our only real option is to use the 1.7 head, which is less than ideal. But maybe there's a way around that.
There are pros, we don't have to worry about valve adjustments.
Now, here's the situation. We have to use the 1.7 heads, but the combination of those with the racing pistons is going to create an engine that at the top end will be fine, but in the low RPMs is going to be very sluggish, and for road use, off the line, it's going to be rubbish. We might be able to solve that issue with a different turbo setup, but if not, there is another option.
The things that influence turbo spool time most are capacity and cam profile.
Yeah.
Oh, and things like nitrous oxide. That kicks the turbo in quickly. It's like a boost for the boost.
So you're saying if we added nitros?
A touch of nitrous just in a little window when you want it.
Yeah.
To get the turbo to spool up quicker. Just a little 25 horsepower nitrous kit. One that'll last, the tank will last months.
Yeah.
Months and months. But it just gives it a little snap to get the turbo spinning up, and then once it's spinning, it keeps spinning.
And we weren't joking. That option is to shoot a bit of nitros in at the right moment, spool up the turbo quicker, and give you a much better off-the-line, low RPM reaction. Don't worry, I know this all sounds very Fast and Furious, Vin Diesel nonsense, but if done correctly, that could be the solution. We might not have to get to that point. A turbo setup might be fine. Even the current turbo setup, we just have to see. When you're building things like this, it is a case of getting everything running, testing, iterating, so on and so forth. But crikey, there is something quite cool about the idea of a nitrous-powered Nova. It has a nice ring to it. But that is for me to figure out further down the line. Right now, the task in hand is to strip down these 1.7 heads, lap in the valves, and hope we don't run into any problems like we did with the 1.5. Then we can get this engine assembled.
That was in there.
What even is that?
Insects and water and muck. Don't leave your inlet system uncovered.
No.
It's alright. Looks alright for now. Beautiful. That's what it should look like.
Well, so we have 2 usable heads, which is good, and a bit of a relief. But now, the fuck's going on?
We're going to just check their flatness.
Yeah.
So, we could take it to a machine shop, spend a lot of money and time
Bad.
getting them to skim it, for them to tell us it doesn't need skimming. We just took a fly cut off it, just a 1/10 of a thou. It was beautiful. So, waste of time, waste of money. What we've got out here is a nice thick plate piece of glass, float glass it has to be. That is as flat as you can get. What we do with that is we stick on some, what we've got here, 240 grit. We need 2 strips just to make it wide enough.
Bosh.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
German, best.
The good stuff. Wow.
Yeah. Bit of spray adhesive. Stick it down, curl it round under the edges so it doesn't move, and just slide the head back and forth with a little bit of lube. And it'll clean it up. You can just then look at the surface and see if it's all flat and lovely or if there's imperfections.
Did you bring the KY jelly?
I didn't, no, it's your job.
Oh.
Isn't it in the car?
Oh yeah, I'll get it.
Get it out of it.
Can you hold it down?
Yeah, you can hold it down, please. Ooh. What you put on? Is that better enough?
Yeah, that's good.
Right, I'll do some on the glass now, so we'll just move that to the side.
I'm covered in,
Oh, yes.
in frothy ejaculate.
That is like a sticky runway of delight.
So it is cleaned up a bit already, but hit it.
Yeah, it's just a quick dry run. Shit, isn't it? What was that? Yeah, there's a few high spots there.
Where? Oh yeah.
But that might be the centre there. We'll have a look. So I'm going to blow through this.
Yeah.
There's that looking. That's a low spot. Potentially a little bit low. The head is alright, it's not warped. Maybe very, very slowly. So we'll just keep going until that's been cleaned off like the rest. I'm going to take these marks out here because potentially they can affect the sealing of the head gasket.
Cool. They don't like this bit.
They'll go crazy.
Really?
Yeah, they'll go crazy.
Okay, we're not going to show this bit.
Oh.
No, don't look, don't look, don't look.
People will be so upset. Colour just coming to, it's like gold. It tells us this bit is low.
Yeah, bit more,
Yeah, it needs more.
bit more love. Whoa!
We're out of control. Got a tail slapper.
Gonna crash!
Oh,
Gonna
spinning
crash!
out. Spinning out.
Way!
That's
Oh
it.
yeah. Oh, smashes the glass.
Yeah. Oh god.
Right, how will she be? Any low spots?
Still there.
Oh, still there.
Still there. It's not within the fire ring.
That curry last night.
Yes, twice. Could be. There might have been a little bit of piston contact there.
Yeah.
Let's just pushed it in because it's not in the firing of the gasket. Just give it birth. Peekaboo! Make sure it's clean. Line.
And just like that, one head was done. It was beautifully lapped, the head was flat, it was good, thank God. But one more to go, so Steve and I are going to fly through and get everything nicely cleaned up, lapped and situated, and then we will have two nice heads. Wow, two shiny, lovely, rebuilt 1.7 heads, ready to fit to the block. There was moments where I didn't think we'd reach this point. I genuinely thought this episode was going to end in tears, but wow, this is a good moment. One last wipe down for good luck and a little blowout, and then it is time to put our brand new, fresh head gaskets on. Exciting. Wow, look at that. The first head sitting proud on the engine block. We were getting there, sort of 30% of the way there, but let's not think about that. The next thing to do was put the cam assembly on, and we had inspected this a few weeks ago, so the only thing we need to do is make sure the followers are nicely lubed up, and then we can put this whole portion on.
No.
Wrong side. Cock.
Everything was clean, oiled up, and ready to go. Time to have a complete head section fitted. Let's do it.
Why don't you just turn it upside down to it? Some of that.
She's on.
She is on. She's a bit dirty on the outside, but we don't care about that.
Wow, now that is an engine. I can't quite believe we're at this point. Now it's time to torque everything up and do exactly the same for the other side, and then we will have the first proper look at our Alpha engine. Wow, look at that. For the first time, this is looking like almost a complete engine, with the top ends on, or side ends, I guess you could call them in this case. We were getting near to the finish line. So we're in the final stretch. Next up, we need to put the front crank seal on. But first, we need to get the old one off.
God. Guaranteed.
Hey, that's never happened before. Opening the right way.
One more. The biggest of the
biggest.
The mahoosivest. Well, it might do the job.
Oh, that was a close one. That could have been a bad end to the day for Steve.
It moved a little bit.
Yeah?
Yeah. Now a little clean up.
Okay, so with the old crank seal off, it is time to get the new one on. Sometimes the gasket kits come with a tool that helps you install it, but this one didn't. So time to use an old school trick.
So this is the device in question. That is a water bottle, isn't it?
It was a water bottle once, yeah.
What's left of a water bottle?
We'll cover the branding up, of course.
Yep, not sponsored.
Yeah, not sponsored by anyone. We need to get this seal over that lip there without it being damaged. There's no tool came with the gasket kit, so we're going to have to improvise. And the idea is a bit of a water bottle, place it over there, bring the seal up, and push it on. Simple.
How'd you get the water bottle out now?
Oh, a pair of pliers.
Oh, nice.
Lube it up first, of course.
Bit of lube.
Bit of lubrification.
Whee!
There she comes.
That.
Like a slippery weasel.
Wow. We have an engine. A very peculiar looking engine who's clearly had lots of lives and identities, but an engine all the same. So let's just take a minute and appreciate this amazing Frankenstein engine. Well, this is a pretty significant moment in the build. We have an engine once more. We went from having a completely seized Alpha engine to an unseized Alpha engine which ran only on 2 cylinders, stripping it apart, finding out there was significant damage on the inside, buying another engine to try and fix that engine, but then the replacement engine had a lot of problems, and then obviously we bought the very exciting turbocharged Alpha race engine which makes up the majority of this engine build, but even that had a few issues, so we've sort of made a Frankenstein. But to give you a little bit of a recap, we have the turbo block, but we've now got a 1.5 crank inside of it, as opposed to the 1.3 crank, as the 1.3 crank was not usable, sadly. And then just to top it off, we have the 1.7 heads and cams. Obviously, these are the later ones with hydraulic lifters, so it's a mixture of all 3 of the engines. Obviously, we've built something that we didn't expect, as you've seen unfold in this episode. Originally, we were going to put the 1.5 heads on, and we found damage, so we couldn't use them. Then we went to put the original 1.3 racing ones on, but then damage in another area, so we couldn't use them. So the last resort was using the 1.7s. And the reason we avoided using 1.7 heads initially is because the combination of the race pistons and the 1.7 head means that we're going to have an engine which will struggle to spool up the turbo at the low RPMs. But we've just had to run with it, and we're just going to have to figure out how it all plays out. Messing around with the turbo, replacing the turbo might fix that issue, or as we joked, but also very seriously mentioned, nitrous oxide, that might help lift it in the low RPMs, because the second we're in the higher RPMs, we won't have an issue at all. But yeah, an interesting journey this has been. But now the only thing is, now we've got this lovely rebuilt engine, it looks very ugly. It doesn't look like it's just been rebuilt, so we need to do something about that. As much as I like the mixture of blues, we need to make it look a little bit more sleek. It also doesn't help the outside is quite corroded and looks like we haven't cleaned it. It is clean, it's just ugly. I had planned to paint this gold, but the gold engine paint that I bought has very bad reviews, it turns out. So I've got silver and black, and I haven't really got a plan. So we might end up just painting it black, maybe a bit silver, I don't know. We're just gonna go full attack on it and just see if it turns out nicely. Worst case scenario, I can always repaint it. Okay, so the whole engine has been completely wire-wheeled, cleaned, degreased, all that sort of thing, and it's as clean as it's going to be. And now I have a sudden urge to paint the whole thing silver. I'm just going to run with it and see what happens. There's a few things which you might be concerned about, like gaskets and surfaces where like the water pump go on, carbs, etc. I'm going to clean those all up after I've painted. I can't get anything to stick to them. I'm not going to deliberately spray onto them, but any overspray will be able to clean up easily, and gaskets on the cams, etc. will be replaced very soon anyway. So yeah, that's your disclaimer. But let's paint this thing. Potentially already having regrets, but that's fine. So initially when I started spraying, I wasn't too sure about silver, but actually I think it looks really good. It sort of looks like OEM, clean, nice. We will do some accents and stuff like that. Or maybe I'll completely change my mind, but right now I'm really happy with how the silver looks. And it sort of looks like a Star Wars spaceship, just bear with me. Just see that flying through the sky. Pretty cool. So yeah, there is the freshly refreshed engine, and I really do like the silver actually. It's growing on me more and more. I've been a little bit careful around areas like that for obvious reasons, and we haven't got the oil pan on. It is sealed. I've just moved away that piece of card. It's also sealed underneath that piece of card, so nothing's getting in, but just because I wanted to get all the way down to that lip. I've done underneath as well, and I need to do another few coats, but I think it's looking pretty good. I continued to spray as the day came to a close. A few more coats and the silver looked really consistent. There was no blue showing through, and I'm really happy with how this turned out. I hope you guys like this colour as much as I do. This is a huge moment. We have an engine, a clean, beautiful, rebuilt engine. It's hard to believe that just 2 days ago this was still a pile of dirty parts. I know these days you can go on YouTube and find amazing workshops full of talented people building far more impressive engines with top-level parts and tools, but this was built in a shed with no electricity, in the middle of nowhere, no water supply, out of components that were destined to be scrapped. But now we had an engine that would live again and power a very, very special car. Well, there we go. A very exciting session today. It seems symbolic to come and stand outside with the shell, as that engine is destined for this. Might be a little bit hard to believe at this moment, but we're getting there. Every week, whether we're working on the body, the chassis, or the engine, we're slowly moving towards a very exciting car. But this really is a huge milestone in the build. We have a rebuilt engine. Of course, there's a bunch of small things that are needed to finish the assembly, like the oil pump, the pan, all that sort of thing, but the main core of the engine is built. And what a journey it's been from having 3 different engines, making one out of literally all of them, and having a way forward. But not only is it a huge milestone that the main portion of the engine is rebuilt, it now means we can look towards the turbo setup, getting that fully restored onto the engine, and start planning how everything's going to work. And then in no time, the engine will be bolted back onto the gearbox. I point to the body, the gearbox is in there on the chassis, which brings me on to another thing. We obviously completely stripped the suspension last week, and we have some very, very exciting plans coming for that, even greater than what I mentioned in last week's episode. So it is all moving, it is all growing and becoming a vehicle that I never thought I'd be building. It's every week gets a little bit more exciting and the goals become a little bit more ambitious, but we are making progress each week to get to them. So very exciting times. I cannot believe how far this build has come in just a couple of months and how much grander the scale of it has become as well. It's going to be such a special car when it's finished, and I cannot wait to share this whole journey with you. And in saying that, I have to thank you all so much for watching. None of this would be possible without you. I truly mean that. People say that all the time, but you guys are making this build possible. By watching the episodes, none of this would be possible without your support. So thank you so much. And with that, please do consider liking, commenting, subscribing, clicking the bell icon, all of that sort of thing. It really does help me out. And if you'd like to support the channel further, I've linked my Patreon down below, where you get to see early access behind the scenes on all things Nova, all things other cars. Lots of fun. Another great way to support the channel is merchandise. Again, linked down below. Any proceeds go into these silly cars. But regardless, I'm just grateful that you're here watching. So until next week, take care, and I will see you then.